There are two myths that historians have associated with the founding of Barcelona. The first comes from Hercules. It is said that Hercules joined Jason and the Argonauts in search of the Golden Fleece as they traveled across the Mediterranean in 9 ships. One of these ships was lost during a storm off the Catalan coast, and Hercules set off to find it. Eventually, close to a small hill, he found the ship wrecked, but the crew was saved. The crew were so mesmerized by the beauty of the land that they called the city Barcelona, or Ninth Ship. The second story credits the father of Hannibal, Hamilcar Barca, a Carthaginian general, with the foundation of the city around 230 BCE, naming it Barcanon. Though the names are similar, there is no evidence that Barcelona was ever a Carthaginian settlement, and it is generally accepted that the origin comes from an Iberian word, Barcino, which evolved into Barquino during Roman times. The Roman colony of Barquino was established during the 1st century BCE, and over time the name evolved into Barquinona. This colony served as a military settlement and played a strategic role in the Roman Empire's control of the Iberian Peninsula. In the early 8th century, the Moors arrived, leading the area to become Muslim-ruled, and the name evolved to Barcelona. Their rule lasted around 85 years. In 801, Louis the Pious, son of Charlemagne, captured Barcelona. Now part of the Carolingian Empire, the city thrived during the medieval period as a maritime and commercial center. In the 12th century, Barcelona entered into a union with the Kingdom of Aragon through the marriage of Ramon Berenguer IV, the Count of Barcelona, and Petronilla of Aragon, the future Queen of Aragon. Barcelona experienced a cultural and economic flourishing from the 13th to the 16th centuries. The city became a major center for trade, arts, and learning, and its maritime influence expanded throughout the Mediterranean. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Barcelona faced challenges such as the War of Spanish Succession, which led to the defeat of Catalonia and the imposition of the Nueva Planta decrees by Philip V of Spain. This period marked a decline in Barcelona's political autonomy. The 19th century brought industrialization to Barcelona, transforming it into a major industrial and economic hub. This period also saw significant urban expansion and demographic growth. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw a cultural and artistic revival known as the Catalan Renaixença. The modernism movement, characterized by unique architecture and artistic expression, including the works of architect Antoni Gaudí, flourished during this time. Barcelona played a significant role in the Spanish Civil War from 1936 to 1939, and its support for the Republic led to the city's bombing and subsequent occupation by Francoist forces in 1939. After the death of Francisco Franco in 1975, Barcelona experienced a cultural and economic resurgence. The city underwent significant urban renewal, and in 1992 it hosted the Summer Olympic Games, showcasing its transformation to the world. Today, Barcelona is known for its vibrant cultural scene, distinctive architecture, including Gaudí's Sagrada Familia and Park Güell, and its role as a global tourist destination. It continues to be a center of innovation, design, and Catalonia's unique identity within Spain. Welcome to episode 3 of the Travel Like Locals podcast. As always, I'm your host, Alex Tabbery. In March of 2019, I had the opportunity to visit Barcelona with some of my friends for a few days. Though none of us were locals, one had spent an entire summer living in the city as part of a study abroad program just before. Over our 72 hours in Barcelona, he showed us everything from the major tourist attractions like La Sagrada Familia and Park Güell to some of the more hidden gems with some amazing restaurants and a taste for the nightlife sprinkled in between. For this episode, I was able to interview 2 people who currently call Barcelona their home. First up, you'll hear from Liliia, a tour guide who has spent the last 7 years in this great city, and then Abbey, a Texan who is spending her spring semester studying abroad there. I have included all of their suggestions on my website, www.tllpod.com. Following this episode, if you are watching, stay tuned to see me cook crema catalan, a creme brulee-like dish originating from Barcelona. Or, if you're listening, you can find this recipe and more on my Instagram or TikTok at tll_pod. I hope you enjoy the interviews, and please reach out and let me know which cities you would like to hear about next. So I would just like to welcome our next guest on the Travel Like Locals podcast, a tour guide from Barcelona, Spain, Liliia. Liliia, can you just give us an introduction about yourself?
Well, my name is Liliia. I live in Barcelona. I was born not in Barcelona, but I moved here and I really love it a lot. And I like to share my love to the city with other people.
Perfect. So how long have you been in Barcelona now?
7 years.
Okay. Where did you come from originally?
I was born in Russia, and I lived there
Okay.
also.
Nice. So, for anybody who wants to come and visit Barcelona, what would you say, in your opinion, are the best times of year to visit?
The best time of year is for me spring, beginning of summer, and then autumn. Why not summer? Because summer is very hot and a lot of people here, a lot of tourists come to city. And also August is the month when locals go to vacations. That means that all very cute, nice businesses like cute shops of, I don't know, some clothes or small cute pharmacy, everything which gives a lot of character to city are closed. And people just come to the city and they see a city full of tourists, and it is also very hot and very humid.
Okay. So, basically, outside of the summer, avoid the tourist season a little bit and appreciate it
Yes,
more.
yes, yeah. And the weather is nice all over the year. Like, for example, now it's really nice. It might be like 20 degrees Celsius, yeah.
Okay. So,
Even
that's about
during,
70 degrees Fahrenheit.
I don't know how much it is in Fahrenheit.
No, it's
So it's
perfect.
really very warm. I mean, people can go to spend a very nice day near the sea.
Okay. So, is the beach there populated year round, or is it really just kind of a summer spot?
In Barcelona,
Yes.
in Barcelona city, beach is normally for summer. And the big part of it is normally for people who come here to visit Barcelona. If I would recommend you to go to have a day near the sea, I would recommend to go outside of city. Just take a train, 15-20 minutes, and you will be near a very nice place with natural beach, because here it is artificial.
Okay. And what place is that? Or just any beach
For
outside the city?
example, well, basically anything which is like 15 minutes from Barcelona, or to the south or to the north.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Being a coastal city, is how much is the weather influenced by that? Is it often rainy or um
There are no rains almost at all.
really? Okay.
Yes, that's why now, for example, you will see that all fountains, which are for decoration, they
Mm-hmm.
don't work
Okay.
because we don't have water.
It's all dried up.
So no rains.
Wow.
No. The only one thing, if we compare with Madrid, for example, which is in the center,
Mm-hmm.
it's like mild weather here. Winter is not cold, but summer hot. Yeah, but winter is not cold. Winter might be very, very cold in Madrid, and it
Mm-hmm.
might be even snowy sometimes, but here, no.
Okay. So with that lack of rain, is there any concern with like the drinking water, or for the most part it's pretty safe?
Now here's kind of emergency about water. So now here are a lot of restrictions about water in gyms, for example, or water. There's showers on the beach. They don't work. So also be ready for that.
Okay.
They don't work. All of them. You cannot wash nothing.
Wow.
Plus, now here will be. I'm not sure. It's very new information. So I'm not sure how they will control it. But now here will be the limit of water which you can use during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I think to water plants in the gardens. Also, there are some restrictions. It's a new information, but a lot. It's an emergency.
Okay. Does this happen yearly, or this is just like a
Since the
kind of freak
summer,
thing? Mm-hmm. But in
spring.
years past, this really hasn't happened,
Not so
or to
much
a
as now,
smaller
but for
scale.
example, last
Yeah.
year, I mean, I can count how many rain days were here, maybe, I don't know, 5 or something like
Wow.
this.
Yeah.
So, since this summer, last summer, people started to have some restrictions from the government.
Okay. Are there any major like local events or festivals that take place throughout the year in Barcelona that would be good for tourists to come and visit?
Almost each month you can find some celebrations here, because Barcelona really like to celebrate things and celebrate everything. Here you can find festival of one street. Here is one street which is very famous. It's called La Rambla. And there is the festival of this street.
Okay.
And each neighborhood has its own festival. Normally they are from, the majority of them, from the end of spring till the end of autumn. So if you come this time, you will find a lot of different celebrations, but some of them also during the winter. Well, and the main, of course, Christmas. Like, I think, like in many places. Semana Santa, which is like an Easter.
Okay.
Well, this is the most famous, but each neighborhood has its own festival, and you will find a lot of them here.
Perfect. So let's say for the next couple months, March, April, you would say Easter is the biggest festival celebration going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
For example, this weekend. So this weekend, I speak about what is today, February 9th, 10, 11. Here will be the Carnival.
Okay. So is it similar to? Yeah, is it similar to like Rio's Carnival, or?
It's a bit different.
Not the same level. Yeah.
Well, it's a bit different in general. It is a bit funnier. People make special costumes here, but not this, when you're half naked and so on. Not this type of costume, but it's something very crazy. Giants, people use giants a lot here. Giants are just big dolls. People enter inside these dolls and they walk like this in the city.
Cool. So I think a lot of people, when they come to Barcelona, they'll just kind of assume, it's like the rest of Spain, speak Spanish, you're good to go. But then they might notice that there's a language that's all over the place that might not necessarily seem familiar. And I guess that would be the Catalan language. Are there any Catalan words and phrases that would be helpful for tourists to know that could just help them connect with people a little bit better?
Well, honestly, you can speak Spanish and you will be connected very good with people. Yes, Catalan here is kind of the main language, but if you come here as a person, as a visitor who wants just to get some information about culture, Spanish is perfect. Just what you need to do is to learn some phrases in Spanish. Catalan is at the end very, very local story.
Yeah. Do you know any, I guess, basic Catalan that could be people could just use for fun?
Merci, for example.
Merci. So, okay. Similar to French.
Yes, well, because in general, the influence of French language to Catalan is very strong.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, can we talk a little bit, I guess, about the Catalan culture in Barcelona? Like how, I guess, Catalonia came to be and how it became part of Spain and how just people feel about that identity.
People don't feel, well, some people, I cannot speak about all of them. Some people don't feel good about that. It started, Barcelona became the part of Spain since 18th century, beginning of 18th century. And for example, the only one park in city center, Ciutadella, was not a park in the beginning. Originally, it was a fortress which was built in the places where just people lived, so their houses were destroyed. And this fortress were built to control the city. So many people don't like it until now, because here is like a separate language, separate culture, and this is a pretty rich region, so and they want to be independent, but it's like waves, sometimes this question is more painful, sometimes less, sometimes more again, but it exists here, and that's why everywhere people sometimes ask me, why are here so many flags of Puerto Rico? but it's not flags of it's flag of Catalonia. So everywhere, I'm exaggerating a bit, but in many balconies you will see flags of Catalonia and yellow ribbons. Yellow ribbon like the symbol of cancer. It's not yellow, but pink, for example. Yeah, pink ribbon is the symbol of cancer, right?
Yeah.
Here you will see a lot yellow ribbon.
Okay.
Which is the symbol of independence.
So I'm trying to remember the flag of Catalonia. It's like yellow and red?
It's yellow and red.
Okay. Like, is it striped?
Yes.
Okay. So there you go. If you see that in Barcelona, it's not Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Not so many people from Puerto Rico here.
But do you see any time in the future Barcelona and Catalan becoming their own country? Or it just... No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that will be a very long process of fighting, if I would be honest. And people also, I think people in general, they need idea to fight for. So this is the idea, but I don't think that it became a republic.
Okay. When people are coming to Barcelona, I think some see that it's known as almost the pickpocket capital of the world. Are there any safety precautions or anything like that you would tell people to watch out for when they're coming to visit?
I would recommend just to be very careful in all downtown. Yeah, people also have stereotype that Raval is like the hell in the earth right now. It is not like this. Raval has a bad history, yes, and kind of bad reputation, but it is, to my mind, not much more criminal than Gothic area and another neighborhoods of downtown. So be very careful with your phones. Careful with your phones. Don't take pictures near the road because people with motorbikes and bicycles can just take your phone and that's all. When you sit on the terrace, for example, don't put your bag on the chair which is close to you. You need to have your bag on your knees. What else? And then when you go upper, like in a Champla, for example, another neighborhood, which is not more, let's say, safer maybe, or more prestigious neighborhood, anyway, be careful.
Okay. So I guess with respect to just where everything is, the safest areas, which area would you recommend tourists to stay in when they're visiting?
It depends on what they want. What do they want? People want different things, no? If you want some parties, if you want to go to bars a whole day and whole night, that might be, well, whole night it is impossible here, I think, but it might be Elborn, for example, or Raval. If you want to sleep calm at night and if you want to stay in a more relaxed area, it might be a Champla. If you want to practice a lot of some sea sport, or how it's called, if you want to stay near sea, Barcelona, it depends on what you want, and of course depends on your budget, because it depends so much from different neighborhoods.
Sure. Are there any areas you would just flat out avoid? Say it's not worth booking a place there?
I would recommend there is also nothing to see in this neighborhood. I would recommend not to go to this area, which is very close to Badalona. Badalona is the next city. Very close to river, which has name Bessos. There I wouldn't recommend to go.
Okay.
La Mina it's called.
La Mina. Okay. So yeah, can we talk a little bit about the price of things in Barcelona? Like how prepared should people be to spend money?
Well, I think that food is not expensive here. What is the most expensive thing is accommodation. So be ready for that. And don't try to, I wouldn't recommend try to find the way to rent something cheaper I would recommend only to use official web pages. Like, I don't know if I can name. Yeah, I can name.
Sure, yeah.
Airbnb, Booking, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you should pay through official web pages because here are a lot of scammers. And
Okay.
as people need so much accommodations here,
Mm-hmm.
it is difficult sometimes for tourists and for locals also.
Okay. For getting around the city, what would you recommend is the best way? What's the best form of transportation to get around in Barcelona?
Foot.
By foot?
I would go just by foot. Because
Okay.
everything is so beautiful and everything is like wow, and everything is very close to each other. Generally, you don't need any transport if you walk like between 4 neighborhoods. But then, if you need to go somewhere fast, like very fast, for example, you have a concert and you need to go there, metro is the fastest way. Buses
Metro?
are not so fast. Plus taxi, but here is a problem sometimes with taxis because when it is rainy, it is difficult to find taxis. Also, you need to remember about that. For example, if you have a tour, if you have a concert or something else, again, take taxi in advance.
Okay. And I know a few years ago when I was in Barcelona, Uber was not allowed in the city. Is that still the case, or has Uber
Yes,
made it there?
there is Cabify. It's like an application which you can use to order taxi, and the city taxi, which is this
What was the
yellow
app called again? Sorry.
Cabify. It's
Cabify.
application and the name of kind of brand of car. Well, not the brand of cars, but the brand of company and name
Okay.
of company. And Free Now, it's an application which you can use to order the city taxis, which are yellow and black.
Okay. Perfect. How would you say in general locals are in terms of friendliness to foreigners, travelers in general?
I think they're pretty friendly.
Okay.
I think you can find not friendly people everywhere, but in general, they're friendly.
Perfect.
What else? Be ready. What other thing you might be ready for? Be ready that sometimes you can see some strikes in the city.
Mm.
I hope it will not influence your travel plans, but it might happen.
Sure. I'd say anywhere in Europe, you kind of go into it expecting that it could be a slight hindrance, but it's generally a quick thing and you just move on.
Yes. And here also a lot of things about independence of Catalonia, so perhaps you will see some strikes and some protests. This, for example, you need to be ready for.
So I think the food culture is something that is very unique to Spain compared to a lot of other parts of the world, definitely compared to the United States. Could you talk a little bit about different, like the meal times in Spain and when people eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and how those meals go?
I think in general we compare with United States because a lot of my clients come from United States and we speak about that with them. If we compare with United States, we eat more times per day. We normally eat 4 or 5 times per day. For breakfast, around 8:30, for example, you have a cup of coffee, or just cup of coffee, or coffee with croissant, coffee with bocadillo. It's like a sandwich. And then around 12 you might have another coffee, for example, and then you have lunch about 2. Then after work you can have some meals, some tapas, for example, and glass of beer. And after you have dinner ready at 9 or 10, depends on the season. Summer more later, around 10.
Yeah,
While in winter
very
you can
late.
have it like 8:30, for example.
Okay. Wow. And so for people coming in from the United States who might be used to eating dinner at say 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m., are restaurants open then, or are they just starting to open? Or should you live like a local and
In
eat at 10?
Barcelona, you can find easily where you will eat. If you go to a small village, there it might be a problem. But Barcelona is Barcelona. Here are so many different cultures, so many different people, tourists, and so on. So for sure, you will find here some food.
Okay. And then in the
In
middle of the
some
day, I know.
places, in
Sure.
some places, the kitchen will be closed after lunch till dinner, and but in some places, not in all of them. Plus, in these places, you can eat some not cooked food, some, I don't know, some kind of
cold
cheese, for
foods.
example, yes,
Okay.
or maybe salad, something like this. Another thing which I like a lot about Barcelona, which I can say, that you can try here so many different types of food. If you stay here longer than 1 week, for example, maybe you will be tired of only tapas, so you can find here some food from Peru, for example, or some food from from Mexico, from another places. And actually, Raval is full of very nice places to eat. And as it is, originally it was very multicultural neighborhood, now too.
Mhm.
So there you can find a lot of things.
Can you talk a bit about the night culture in Barcelona in terms of just going out and we'll say bars and things like that?
If you want to go out, I would recommend you to go to El Born. It's
Okay.
it's one part of Old Town, which is famous by its very nice bars. And for example, one of the best cocktail bars in the world is in Barcelona.
Okay.
So it's called El Paradiso. It's like a hidden bar, this big easy concept, which is very nice. But there are much more other places also. So El Born. Or, for example, if we speak about the Eixample, it might be street in Granados. Is the street also full of nice places to eat, to drink something? If you want some very typical club, but these clubs will be, there will be a lot of visitors of city near sea. Some clubs are in Plaza Real. It's pretty close to La Rambla.
So we
but
talked
my favorite, for example, is El Born. So
El Born. Okay. So yeah, we talked about it a tiny bit earlier. When do people, I guess, really start going out for the night, and how long could you expect your night to last for?
But like the night with some clubs, some dancing, such type of, okay. Well, basically you go to have dinner first of all. Yeah. So around 9 you have dinner.
9 p.m.
And then you go to some bar and you start to drink something. And then already after 12, after 1, maybe sometimes you go to some club.
Okay. And how late are those open?
And it is funny because club here. So club, what do you mean when you say club? It's a place for dancing, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So here it's called discoteca. If you say club here, it's more for more private things, let's say.
Okay.
So don't say club, because I've been in a situation when I asked a question using the word club, because club for me is the place for dancing, and person was looking like, why are you asking me? How can I know?
Okay.
So discoteca.
The disco.
And it is finishing about 6 in the morning. Yeah.
Wow.
I had, and I still have, sunrise tours. So sunrise tours there started where people just finish their nightlife.
Stumbling out.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. In America, I think most bars or clubs will close at 2 a.m. So I think, the going out till 6 a.m. is completely foreign.
No, here they just open at 2 a.m. Some of them
open at 2. Yeah. Wow. So a lot of people might assume or associate siestas with Spain. Are siestas a big part of the culture in Barcelona? Will you find a lot of shops closed down in the middle of the day?
Some of them, yes, but again, it is a big city, and it is city where a lot of tourists come, so a lot of shops just open the whole day. But if it is not central area, and if it is some local business, yes, 90% it will be closed after 2, 1 until 4, 5.
Perfect. That's good to
Again,
know.
when you go to villages, it will be much, much, much popular there, and it will look like dead village, like there is nobody.
Yeah, I guess Barcelona just being such a big city and tourist destination, they probably a lot of places will defer from the norm to accommodate some of the visitors or travelers.
I think many people are surprised by lifestyle of people here who are not, they're very relaxed. Yeah, it's relaxed lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
In the majority. Yeah, I'm speaking about this majority.
Sure.
People are not in a rush. People like to sit, to drink coffee, to drink a glass of wine. Not work. It's not such a huge thing here as I suppose United States or some other countries.
Yeah, you work to live as opposed to live to work.
Yes. But people like it normally. People who come here, they're like, oh, it's so cool. We want to stay here.
Yeah. I guess when you're going out to eat, when in America, you would tip your waiter, 20% is pretty standard. In Barcelona, is there an expectation of a specific tip, or what's the rule of thumb there?
In general, if you like the service, if you liked what you ate, you give tips. It's not an obligation. In USA, it's obligation, right? You should or no?
In America, yeah. Yeah.
So here you shouldn't, but if you like, you normally do. And percent, normally it's not 20%, it's less. It's like 10, 15. Yes, and in some places, I don't know how it is in America, in some places here, not in all of them, so it is better to ask before if you would like to give tips. In some, you can just say, when you pay by card, you can just say, please, I would like to pay this amount, and you pay more. Yeah, you pay with tips already. But in some places, better to give cash.
Perfect.
I wouldn't recommend to eat on La Rambla. Actually, about tipping culture. In La Rambla, there are some restaurants. You can eat, for example, in La Boqueria, in the market, yes, there are some bars. But if you go to eat in La Rambla, please don't do that. And actually in La Rambla, they ask for tips because they used to the fact that 90% of people who come there, they're tourists from America.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is without tips, so don't go there. And the food is very bad.
Okay, avoid that.
I made anti-promotion. No, something like
no, it's good to know where to avoid, so you don't get stuck in a tourist trap.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other, I guess, major tourist traps that people should watch out for?
Well, food, I think, is the main, because you just spend a lot of money and you eat very bad food in not the right places. I don't know. I think no. Well, souvenirs everywhere will have more or less the same price because they're normally for people who come here.
Sure.
And all the rest, no. Well, museums are not.
Perfect. So let's talk about a little bit about some of the top sites to see in Barcelona. So what would you recommend? Say somebody has 2 or 3 days in Barcelona. What are the top destinations that they need to visit?
Well, of course, everything which is about Gaudí. Many people come here just because of him, because of his places. All of his places. Okay, this is already 2 days. We have one more. I would recommend to go to Montjuic. I would recommend to go to one of famous museums, for example, Museum of National Art. This museum is in Montjuic. I would recommend to go a bit outside of Barcelona to see what's there close. Again, it is very easy. You just buy tickets in the station, and 15 minutes you're in a very nice village, a very nice small town, close to sea. then I would recommend to visit I think it's already more than 3 days, honestly.
That's
But
okay.
I would recommend to visit not central areas, because each neighborhood in Barcelona is so unique and so interesting that, for example, Poblenou, it's nice to see, especially at the beginning of this neighborhood. Before it was very industrial area, and now it's really very cool with a lot of nice business centers, a lot of nice bars, co-workings. If you go to Montjuic, I would recommend to go down to Square of Spain, and there is the former place for bullfighting. Now it's a mall. You can go up and you see a nice view on the city. Or you can go to another mountain which has named Tibidabo, and you will see a nice view on the whole city, on Montjuic, the first mountain which I spoke about, sea, and a town which close to Barcelona. Well, I think it's already 5 or 7 days. But
No,
of
that's,
course,
yeah.
first of all, and I think yes, Gaudi.
All the Gaudi things. So
Yes,
that's Park
and very
Güell and
important, very
Mhm.
important. Buy tickets in advance, especially in
Okay.
summer. But in summer, 2 weeks in advance better.
Okay. And that you're
Especially
referring,
Sagrada Familia and Park
yeah.
Güell. So if you want to
Okay.
go there, please buy tickets, because I know so many people just go to park, buy food like this on the mountain, and then they
Mhm.
come there and there are no tickets.
Yeah. Yeah, or you could be stuck waiting in line for hours. And so when you're buying a ticket, you're just buying it for a specific time slot, and then you just arrive then and you avoid the
Yes, you
line,
buy it
basically?
for time. Normally, you can arrive like 15 or 30 minutes after that time, but not
Mhm.
2 hours after that time, yeah, because you have time. And
Sure.
very important information, there are no fast tracks, okay? There are no fast tracks. People very often ask me to buy tickets with fast track. It doesn't exist. Sagrada
Okay.
Familia, but you can find it actually. You can find it in some web pages. But it's just tickets with the higher price, and that's all. There are no fast tracks. No to
Okay.
Picasso Museum, no to Sagrada Familia, no to Park Güell.
Okay. And so Park Güell is kind of, I guess, a little bit outside of some of the main tourist destinations, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
okay.
It's very far, yeah.
So if you're over there and you don't have a ticket, you're kind of stuck because there's not much to
Yes,
do
plus
around
if
there.
you went by foot, you're very tired, because
Yeah.
also if it is summer, you're very tired and very angry. Yes, but again, you can walk in this area, you can see not central, but it's not something wow there, honestly. So better buy
Okay.
tickets.
And for La Sagrada Familia, so it's been under construction for a long time and still isn't done yet. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it is still not done, and then they constantly postpone the year of ending of construction.
Mhm.
And there is a huge movement now, for example, against La Sagrada, because for some people from this circle of artists, of architects, they think that it just became the attraction for people who come here. But anyway, it is something very unique.
Yeah, I think Gaudi's artistic style is something that's really difficult to describe, and it's almost something you just have to see in person. I don't know if you have a good description of it, but personally, it's just very unique.
I don't think that there is any special word to describe his style, any one word. He started with, he was inspired by Gothic style in the beginning, and you can see something very Gothic in Palau Güell, for example. But then what he did later, it's something unique. Yeah, well, that's why many people come here also.
Perfect. So, what year exactly did La Sagrada Familia start being constructed?
It was the end of 19th century, and it was not he who
Okay.
started to do that. And then they changed architecture, and then he also changed the plan. because since the beginning everything was built with private donations.
Okay.
And once he got a very big donation from unknown person, I mean, it was a house called Anonymous, yeah, and it was such a big donation, which because of this donation, he decided to change totally the plan.
Okay.
But there is
So I think,
also, there are a lot of legends about Gaudi. There are a lot of mysterious stories around his name.
Okay. Could you go into some of those?
For example, some people believe, it's not a mystery, but just some people believe that he was Freemason.
Okay.
This is one.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh yeah,
So,
and actually, when you're in Barcelona, and please don't be afraid to go to Raval, because there is a hospital where Gaudi died.
okay.
I know that not many people go there because they just don't know, and also it's not even the part of Gaudi tours, but it is a very, very like gloomy, very dark building of 14th century.
Okay. So going on that same respect, are there any other like off the beaten path locations you would recommend people to see?
Well, I would recommend to see, as I told you, probably know this neighborhood. I would recommend to see Poble Sec. It's another neighborhood which is close to Raval. And there is a street full of pinchos bars, for example. And it is nice to go to try pinchos. Pinchos is the food from the north of Spain originally, but here, of course, it is also very famous. And there is the whole street dedicated only to pinchos. So you can just change bars and go to different places there. And I would recommend to go upper to see another kind of part of life, to go to the area of Turo Park.
Okay.
Oh, there is, if you go upper, there is a very nice park of roses. So such type of things. But I think it's not for the first time in Barcelona. If you are in Barcelona for the first time,
yeah,
you have a lot of things to see.
Stick to the standard, sure. Are there any, I guess, day trips you would recommend from Barcelona?
Maybe go to Girona. Girona is very small, but it has very beautiful city center, very nice river with these beautiful buildings near the river. Or Montserrat, very nice day trip. Or you can go, if it is summer, for example, San Pol del Mar. It's a small town near sea, more or less 1 hour from Barcelona by train. A very charming place. Or maybe you can go, well, yes, this one. Maybe you can go to Priorat, for example, to the wine area to try some wine. But this is more than one day already. Well, Montserrat.
Okay.
Is the most
so going back, I guess, to the food scene, what are some of the must-try dishes in Barcelona?
Tapas.
Tapas.
But tapas, it's even not food, it's the way how you eat food. So it's kind of everything you can share, basically. So the most famous croquetas or pimientos de padrón, patatas bravas, ensalada rusa, Russian salad. And then meat, a lot of seafood, calamares, for example. So everything, all different tapas. Buñuelos de bacalao is so nice. Buñuelos de spinach, so nice. Especially if they're mixed with honey.
Okay.
And some drinks, of course.
Yes.
For example, vermouth. Or wine, cava. Sangria.
Okay. And then I think a lot of people might come to Spain looking for paella. Is this a big part of Barcelona, or is it maybe from a different?
But of course, it's also very famous here. Of course, I think everywhere in Spain it is very famous. I would recommend to go to eat paella near sea.
Okay.
There are several restaurants where you can try very good paella.
Perfect. Are there any specific restaurants that you would recommend people to check out for any dish?
Wow, a lot. If you want, for example, something in the city center, a lot of different tapas, it might be La Flauta,
Mm.
or Ciutat Condal. Or you can go to some market, which is a very authentic experience, not La Boqueria. It might be even La Boqueria, but you can go to another places, to Mercat Ninot, for example, or Mercat San Antonio, to try some tapas there, to try some food there. It's very, very typical to eat some food in the market.
Okay. So is there any, I guess, areas of Barcelona that are better than others for finding food? Or you can find something anywhere?
You can find something anywhere. I think maybe only neighborhoods which are very far from city center, there are less restaurants and bars, but anyway, even there you can find something. But tourists normally don't go up so far. But here in city center, Champlain, Born, well, downtown, you can find everything.
Perfect. Are there any areas that you would recommend for people who want to come and buy, say, souvenirs or local crafts or just do a bit of shopping?
But what type of souvenirs? Like standard souvenirs?
Standard souvenirs.
Okay. La Rambla.
Okay.
Oh, it's the most famous street among tourists, so there are so many different souvenirs. And then basically each famous attraction also attracts a lot of shops of souvenirs. Like close to Parkway, there are nice shops of souvenirs. Then near Cathedral, there are nice souvenirs. But I mean, like standard souvenirs, if you want something standard.
Okay. So just to start, I guess, wrapping things up, is there anything else that you think people should know before coming to Barcelona?
Let me think. No, I think no. Just enjoy and be careful with pickpockets.
Okay. Easy enough. Yeah, so how can people connect with you if they wanted to, if they're planning a trip to Barcelona and they're looking for a tour guide, how could people find you?
I have a web page. It's called toursatelier.com.
Okay.
And there are different tours. And they're mostly, well, you can order personalized one-day tour, or you can order niche tours, like tours with unusual topics. Or again, it might be personalized especially for you. You can tell me, okay, I want a bit of food, I want a lot of history, and I want something else, and I will create this tour for you.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Liliia. It's been fun. And yeah, I'll link everything that she's mentioned in the website. And yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. So, Abby, how's it going?
Going so good. It's currently 10:54 here in Spain, so loving that.
Nice. Well, thanks for staying up and doing this. So, for any of the listeners, how do we know each other?
So Alex is my sister's boyfriend. So yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, Abby, tell us why you are in Barcelona.
Yeah, so I'm in Barcelona from the beginning of January to the end of April for my second semester of junior year studying abroad. I'm studying international business and marketing at University Autónoma Barcelona here. And I'm also studying Spanish. So it's a great place to kind of practice all of those things and have some super cool international professors that just have a lot of really cool experience with international business. And it's been, and just honestly, I chose the experience to just get a lot more cultured and just learn a ton.
Nice. So, how long have you been there so far?
So it's been almost a month. Actually, in 2 days, it will be 1 month. And so it's been so, so fun. It feels like I've been here for like years now. I feel so accustomed to everything. And it's going to be hard to leave, but it's awesome.
Nice. And so, what has been the biggest differences that you've noticed there between Barcelona and, we'll just say, America in general?
Honestly, for me, just every single thing has been such a big switch. It feels like nothing in my life has kind of stayed the same. I'm living in an apartment for the first time, and honestly, when I had come here, I was expecting the apartments to be a lot smaller than what I'm used to, but maybe we just got really lucky. We got a very nice sized one where um, I'm living with three other people, and two of us have our own rooms, which is really nice. The beds are very small. It's like they have twin XLs in the US, and here I swear they're twin XSs. They're very small. But they're good because I'm small, or short, so I can't really complain about that much. That has been like a big difference. And just living in a city has been like a huge difference. There's metro stations and public transportation just everywhere, which is so, so awesome. They care so much about sustainability here, which has been a super awesome thing. If you check out right here, we actually separate all of our trash to do like compost and plastic and paper and aluminum and all of that. So it's super cool how they care so much about that. I'd say that the way that people act is probably the biggest difference, though. People here do not like normally in the US, I'm like walking around on the streets and like I'm just like smiling at people, or if I see someone's dog is super cute, I might ask to pet it. Here, if you like smile at someone, they think you're crazy. Like it's like such a weird thing. And so when I'm walking, especially by myself, it's like a very straight face, like kind of trying to blend in that way. And everyone has dogs here, but no one ever stops to pet them. And so you don't do that. And most people here, I will say in Spain, I think that people are a lot nicer than in other European countries. But particularly in Barcelona, a lot of people do not like tourists. And so you want to try to blend in as much as you can.
Fair enough. So I know that you have learned a bit of Spanish before for this. How often would you say you use your Spanish versus just going to English?
I would say the only times that I'm using English are whenever I'm with my roommates or my friends that are from the US, and when I'm in my English classes that I have. I have two Spanish classes and two English or classes that are taught in English. And so other than that, like anywhere I go that's like talking to anyone that lives in Spain, it's always in Spanish. Sometimes I'll have to Google Translate stuff, or I was surprised here by the amount of people who don't speak English. I think a lot of people kind of thought that it was going to be a little easier. And I like the challenge. It's been so fun to like just get more confident in my Spanish speaking. But people are very like apt to like hear you speak in Spanish too. So it's not like anyone, there's sometimes when like I'll try to order something in Spanish and then and I'll like go off on like a tangent like in Spanish, and then they respond to me in English. And sometimes that's like kind of like a sad thing because it's like, oh, I thought I was doing so well. But other than that, most people just speak Spanish everywhere. And so pretty much anywhere you go, like in public, it's like you're going to speak Spanish, or at least try your best.
Have you learned any like Catalan words or phrases, or just sticking to Spanish for now?
I haven't done any Catalan myself. One of my roommates is actually taking a Catalan class, and so sometimes she'll teach us some stuff. But a lot of the things, all of the signs here in Barcelona are in Catalan. And everyone still speaks Spanish here. It's like a very select few people speak Catalan, but everyone generally just speaks Spanish. But all the signs here are in Catalan, and a lot of like basic things like that, like for like government things. And so that kind of stuff, you can kind of figure out what they say, but things are just like a little bit like different. And so like any like X, that a lot of things like have X's, and an X is like a ch sound. So like anytime you're at a like cafe and you want like a chocolate croissant, it starts like the CH that we would normally see in like chocolate in Spanish would be chocolate, but with an X at the beginning. And you can just kind of like piece things together enough. But like there's times when I'm sitting on the bus and like I can hear like two women talking behind me, and it's like everything is right over my head. And I'm like, yep, they're speaking in
Catalan. Yeah, because I've heard it's like basically a combination of like French and Spanish almost, like the Catalan language.
I think that's kind of what it is, because Andorra is actually the only country where that is like the official language, and it's like half Spanish, half French, and so that makes the most sense.
Okay, yeah. So since you've been there, what's been the best thing that you've eaten?
Honestly, there's been so many things that have just been so good. Um, I'd say the paella here is really good. A lot of the traditional Spanish food. There's a lot of things that are very similar at like each different restaurant, or like a lot of different restaurants have like the same kind of like tapas or appetizers. And so I love just like getting to try like more of like the traditional things. But I think the paella has been my favorite, the seafood paella. I've had chicken paella too, and it was really good, but I think the seafood just has a lot more flavor and textures in it, which I really like.
Nice. Have you gotten used to the meal times there being much later?
I have. It's normally, honestly, it's not like that much of a difference for me because typically people have classes that go in pretty late into the day or to the night. And so I just kind of eat like whenever I'm hungry, and I just try to like bring snacks to kind of plan around things. But normally, like if we make a dinner reservation, like at the earliest, it's at 9 o'clock. But it hasn't been like that weird of a change, I think. I think the weirdest thing is with lunches because lunch normally starts, it's like from like 2 to 4. And so that's when I get like really hungry during the day.
Yeah. Have you found any difference with the culture, I guess, in respect to like the classes you've taken? How have you found them in comparison to classes you've taken in Tennessee?
So all of the scales of the classes are very different. And so in Spanish, or in Spain, it's on a scale of 1 to 10. And how they described it to me is an 8 is very, very good. A 9 is for the professor, and a 10 is for God. And so like no one gets a 9 or a 10. And so whenever they kind of have like a credit transfer, an 8 is what's considered an A at most universities. Luckily, mine
Hmm.
is just pass or fail, but that's a big thing. A lot of times people or Spanish people tend to have a stereotype that like, oh, like they're going to be later to things, but classes start very much on time. And if you show up even like a minute too late and you have the wrong professor, like they will call you out in front of the whole class and mark you as late. It kind of depends on the professor too. But they're like very strict about things like that, and very much no food or drink in the classroom at all, except if it's just like water, you can have that. And the classes are very long. They're all an hour and 40 minutes long. And typically my like longer classes in Tennessee are like an hour and like 15 minutes. But there is a little break in between. And I think the break was originally built in there so you could like go and smoke a cigarette, but that's when people will like go and like have a snack or like grab a coffee like from a cafe real quick. It's just like a 5 to 10 minute break. But it's like a good time to just like take a breather and like reconcentrate because the classes are very long.
I know a lot of the study abroad students who came from Europe to Texas, they always commented on how the dress was very different. Like in the US, you'll dress very casually when you're going to class, but in Europe, it sounds like it's a bit more formal. Have you seen that as well?
I definitely have. Everyone pretty much wears like jeans or trousers to class. It's nothing like too crazy. Like typically I'll wear like jeans and a sweater and just like a pair of like sneakers that are like good to walk in. But it's definitely like it's nice because like if I were to wear what I would wear here in Tennessee, like it would be weird to like show up to class. And sometimes I like to dress nicer, or sometimes I like to make it a little bit more casual. And so it's good to like have that range. And again, it just kind of helps you fit in a little bit more into Spanish culture, which is nice. But I will say on Monday, that was the first time when I wore like a sweat set, and like it looked like put together still, but it was still like, it felt weird, like wearing like sweatpants to class. Even though I like dressed it up in other
Hmm.
ways, I was like, this feels wrong. But it was nice to kind of like have that as like a treat. It felt like though. I will say though, a lot of people in Spain don't, a lot of like younger people will dress really nice, but a lot of the older people have a very different style where a lot of people will just wear like leggings. And so it's not like too much of a like rule that like you have to dress up. I think in a lot of places, like I have a friend who's studying abroad in France, it's a lot more like looked down upon if you don't dress up super nicely. And so here it's more relaxed than I would say. And it's warmer here too. And so people will keep it more casual because of that, I think too.
Yeah, that's nice. So, since you've been there, what's been the coolest site that you've visited so far?
I think La Sagrada Familia is so, so cool. I haven't been inside of it yet, but we have like a view of it from the patio on our rooftop, and I like pass it every
Mhm.
day on the bus, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful building, and they say it's going to be done in a couple years, but based on how it looks right now, I don't think it's going to be. But it's just so cool, and it feels like every time I like drive past it or walk past it, there's just like a new details that I recognize and stuff, and it's so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's such a cool thing to see when you're first there. It's almost, I mean, it's the icon of the city basically, and yeah, I think they started building it in the late 1800s, and they've changed their plans multiple times, and I think now the next estimate is like 2030s or so is when they're finally going to be finished. But just seeing it like built through time is, even under construction, it's amazing. So just to wrap it off and let you head off to bed, what is one thing that you would want somebody to know who's coming to Barcelona for the first time from America?
Definitely keep an open mind with everything and don't just stick to the touristy things. I think that there is a lot of people who kind of just stick with what they know. They just hang out with people who only want to speak English. They just go to the types of like clubs and restaurants that are like very touristy. And one, that's how it's like going to be the most unsafe thing, because a lot of pickpocketers in Barcelona, it's such a bad issue. But that's how you get your stuff stolen, first of all. And also, like, your experience is going to mean so much more to you if you go out and you really like get out of your comfort zone and just try to really immerse yourself into the culture. I think that's made such a difference in my experience compared to some other people that I know kind of experience. And just like going to like random places and trying my best to speak Spanish and choosing the little local places instead of like the big chains makes such a difference in just your whole experience.
Perfect. Well, Abby, thank you. This has been great, and I hope you enjoy your next 3 months there.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
No, you're going to have a great time. I hope you've enjoyed this episode on Barcelona, Spain. Don't forget to check out the website, www.tllpod.com, for a summary of all of Abby and Lilia's recommendations and tips. Also, make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram at @TLL_pod to find out where we dive into next.